The Silent Declaration. The Galactic Confederation's Grand Assembly Hall on Nova Prima hadn't known true silence in over 3 centuries. Representatives from over 2,000 civilizations constantly engaged in the chaotic dance of interstellar politics, arguing, negotiating, plotting, and deal-making. But on that fateful day, as Ambassador Sarah Chen approached the central podium, the cacophony died. The massive crystalline dome above cast rainbow shadows across her simple gray suit, a stark contrast to the ornate ceremonial garments worn by other species. Chen's measured steps echoed through the chamber, each click of her heels against the ancient marble floor a prelude to history. The various species gathered there, from the ethereal luminary floating in their containment fields to the massive Kraken Collective's representatives in their towering hydro tanks, all felt the weight of the moment. Honorable members of the Confederation. Chen's voice carried naturally through the chamber, deliberately avoiding the standard neural translators. Instead, her words were translated by old-style quantum processors, a subtle but clear break from standard protocol. I come before you not with proposals or negotiations, but with a declaration. The Archspeaker Zilvax, his crystalline form shimmering with concern, leaned forward in his gravity chair. In 3,000 years of service, he had never seen a human ambassador bypass the traditional diplomatic channels like this. Humanity has served alongside you all for the past 3 centuries. Chen continued, her voice unwavering. We have mediated your conflicts, stabilized your economies, and helped maintain the peace. Today, we inform you that this era has come to an end. As of this moment, humanity is withdrawing from all political involvement in the Galactic Confederation. The silence shattered. 1,000 voices erupted in protest, the neural network struggling to translate the cascade of languages. The Kraken Collective's representatives released clouds of psychic ink that turned the water in their tanks pitch black. The luminary's light-based communication created a strobing effect that threatened to trigger the hall's security protocols. Chen stood unmoved, waiting for the initial shock to subside. When Archspeaker Zilvax finally restored order, his crystalline voice carried an edge that few had ever heard before. Ambassador Chen, this is unprecedented. The human systems are integrated into every aspect of Confederation operations. Your banking protocols, your diplomatic corps, your peacekeeping fleets, they are essential to galactic stability. You cannot simply withdraw. Chen's smile was gentle but firm. With respect, Archspeaker, we not only can but must. For too long, the Confederation has relied on humanity as a crutch. Our presence has prevented natural political evolution and cultural adaptation. We have become enablers of stagnation rather than catalysts for growth. This is absurd. The mercantile prince of the Silicon Collective rolled forward on his magnetic track. Our entire trading network runs on human encryption protocols. Billions of beings depend on the stability your systems provide. All human-designed systems will continue to function, Chen assured them. We are not destroying anything. We are simply stepping back. All necessary documentation and training materials have already been transmitted to your respective governments. You have everything you need to maintain and adapt these systems yourselves. The implications began to sink in across the chamber. The humans hadn't made this decision rashly. They had been planning this, meticulously documenting their systems, creating training programs, and preparing for a clean break that wouldn't cause immediate catastrophic failure. And if we refuse to accept this withdrawal, the question came from the military syndicate's representative, their biomechanical armor humming with barely contained energy. Chen's response was calm but carried steel beneath the surface. This is not a negotiation, honored representative. Our withdrawal is already in progress. As we speak, human peacekeeping forces are being recalled. Our diplomatic corps is transferring their responsibilities to trained successors. Our financial advisors are implementing the transition protocols we have spent years developing. She paused, looking around the vast chamber. We are not abandoning you. We are refusing to continue enabling dependency. Humanity will maintain basic diplomatic relations, honor existing trade agreements, and remain open to cultural exchange. But we will no longer serve as the galaxy's mediators, peacekeepers, or financial guarantors. The Archspeaker's crystalline form dulled with resignation. You understand this will cause chaos. Perhaps, Chen acknowledged. Or perhaps it will force the Confederation to evolve, to develop new systems, new methods of cooperation, to finally face and resolve conflicts that have been merely managed for centuries. She stepped back from the podium. Her piece said, "The documentation of our withdrawal has been entered into the permanent record. We wish you all peace, prosperity, and most importantly, growth." As Chen walked toward the exit, the chamber erupted once again, but she didn't look back. In her earpiece, a secure channel activated. Phase 1 complete, she subvocalized. Initiating the Phoenix Protocol. Above the chamber, Earth's quantum satellites began their carefully choreographed dance, implementing humanity's most ambitious experiment yet, forcing an entire galaxy to grow up. Ripples across the stars. The first signs of humanity's withdrawal manifested not in grand political gestures, but in the quiet absence of routine. On the bustling trade world of Nexus Prime, Merchant Lord Catul noticed it during his morning market review. The human trade vessels, normally precise in their scheduled arrivals, simply weren't there. The massive trading hub's artificial atmosphere crackled with nervous energy as alien merchants watched their monitoring screens. Hundreds of human ships, from massive cargo haulers to small trading vessels, were calmly departing their regular routes. They weren't rushing, weren't causing disruption. They were simply, methodically, going home. In his crystal-spired office overlooking the primary trading floor, Catul's segmented eyes tracked the departing vessels. "They're actually doing it," he whispered to his assistant. "They're really leaving." The impact cascaded through the galaxy's economic arteries like a slow-moving shockwave. The human banking algorithms, which had managed the complex calculations necessary for trade between vastly different economies, continued to run. But they no longer adapted to new situations, no longer evolved to meet changing conditions. Like a sophisticated machine left in automatic mode, they maintained the status quo but couldn't respond to emerging challenges. On the diplomatic station Harmony's Rest, Ambassador Exirlan of the Luminary Consensus observed another subtle but profound change. The human mediators, who had been crucial in resolving countless interspecies disputes, were quietly transferring their cases to other species representatives. They left behind detailed records, cultural context guides, and diplomatic protocols. But the living, breathing expertise that had made human mediators so effective was departing with them. "It's not just their presence we're losing," Exirlan noted, their light form dimming with concern. "It's their way of thinking." Humans had this unique ability to see connections between seemingly unrelated things, to find common ground between the most disparate species. The military sector felt the change most acutely. Human peacekeeping forces had maintained stability in dozens of disputed regions, their very presence often enough to prevent conflicts from escalating. As these forces methodically withdrew, ancient tensions began to resurface. In the disputed zones along the border of the Silicon Collective and the Organic Confederation, the first skirmishes broke out within days of the human peacekeepers' departure. Minor incidents that would have been quickly resolved by human mediators instead festered into growing confrontations. Fleet Admiral Xenophore of the Confederation Defense Force watched the tactical displays with growing unease. The humans didn't just keep the peace, she observed to her staff. They understood why peace needed to be kept. They could see patterns in conflicts that the rest of us missed. But it was in the realm of innovation that humanity's absence began to show most surprisingly. The various species of the Confederation had grown accustomed to human adaptability. Their unique ability to take existing technologies and combine them in unexpected ways. Without this catalyst, technological development began to stagnate. On the research world of Innovatus, Chief Scientist Vraltex of the United Scientific Coalition made a disturbing discovery. Our rate of breakthrough innovations has dropped by 60% in the month since the human research teams departed, he reported to the emergency council session. We didn't realize how much we relied on their lateral thinking, their ability to make intuitive leaps that our more structured approaches missed. The humans hadn't sabotaged anything. They hadn't withdrawn their technology or rescinded their innovations. They had simply stopped participating in the ongoing development of galactic civilization. All their existing contributions remained. But the spark, the chaos factor that humans brought to every field they touched, was gone. In the financial district of Nova Prima, the effects became impossible to ignore. The human-designed trading systems continued to function perfectly for existing transactions and known patterns. But when faced with new economic challenges, the systems showed their limitations. Without human financial analysts to adapt and evolve the algorithms, the galaxy's economy began to calcify. They built redundancies into everything, noted Chief Financial Analyst Cricks, their quantum matrix pulsing with frustrated admiration. It's as if they spent years preparing for this, making sure nothing would catastrophically fail when they stepped back. But they also ensured we couldn't simply continue relying on their systems indefinitely. The genius of humanity's withdrawal began to become clear. They hadn't crashed the system or caused sudden catastrophic failure. Instead, they had engineered a subtle, gradual reduction in the galaxy's capabilities. Like a parent slowly removing training wheels, they had ensured the initial stability would remain while making it increasingly clear that new solutions would need to be developed. In her office on Earth, Ambassador Chen reviewed the reports with her team. The massive holographic display showed thousands of data points, economic indicators, conflict zones, diplomatic initiatives, technological development metrics, all showing exactly the pattern they had predicted. Phase 2 is proceeding as anticipated, her chief analyst reported. The Confederation is beginning to recognize the full scope of their dependency on human systems and expertise. Chen nodded, her expression thoughtful. And Phase 3. The first indicators are appearing. Several species are beginning to develop their own solutions rather than waiting for human assistance. It's small scale so far, but it's starting. Chen smiled slightly. Good. They're learning faster than we expected. They might be ready for Phase 4 sooner than we planned. Outside her window, Earth's sunset painted the sky in brilliant colors. Somewhere out there, a galaxy was learning to stand on its own feet. The process would be painful, chaotic, perhaps even dangerous. But humanity had made its choice. Better a difficult path to true independence than an eternal comfortable dependency. Send word to the Phoenix Protocol teams, Chen instructed. Tell them to prepare for accelerated implementation. The galaxy is about to enter its adolescence, and we need to be ready for what comes next. The unraveling piece. 3 months after humanity's withdrawal, the Galactic Confederation faced its first major crisis. In the resource-rich Helios sector, the ancient rivalry between the Crystal Dynasties and the Plasma Collective erupted into open conflict. For centuries, human peacekeepers had maintained a delicate balance in the region, their presence preventing either side from claiming the sector's valuable quantum crystals. Now, with those peacekeepers gone, both civilizations rushed to fill the power vacuum. The first shots were fired over a minor mining dispute that, in previous years, would have been resolved through human mediation within hours. Fleet Commander Tyralx of the Crystal Dynasties watched from her command ship as the first wave of Plasma Collective warships entered the disputed space. They wouldn't dare if the humans were still here, she muttered, her crystalline form pulsing with battle-ready energy. Signal the defense fleet. Show them why our ancestors ruled this sector before the humans ever left their solar system. The resulting battle lasted 6 hours and destroyed 3 space stations, 2 mining outposts, and countless smaller vessels. When it was over, neither side had gained any real advantage, but the conflict had sparked a chain reaction across the galaxy. In the diplomatic hub of Nova Prima, the emergency council session stretched into its 3rd day. Archspeaker Zilvax's crystalline form had dulled from exhaustion as he attempted to maintain order among the increasingly hostile representatives. The Organic Confederation demands immediate access to the trade routes through Silicon space. One representative shouted, their biomechanical translator barely keeping up with their agitated pheromone patterns. Without human navigation data, our existing routes are becoming unstable. Access denied. The Silicon Collective's representative responded coldly. Your organic vessels pose an unacceptable contamination risk to our quantum networks. The humans may have convinced us to tolerate such risks before, but those days are over. Similar disputes erupted across every sector. Trade agreements that had functioned smoothly under human oversight began to break down. Cultural misunderstandings that human diplomats would have quickly resolved instead festered into diplomatic incidents. On the frontier world of Haven's Edge, Governor Lyrvax watched helplessly as 3 separate species laid claim to the same colonization rights. The human colonial administration had maintained a complex but effective system of rotating settlements, allowing multiple species to share the planet's resources. Without their oversight, the careful balance collapsed in weeks. We cannot survive alone, Lyrvax transmitted to the Central Council. The atmospheric processors require maintenance protocols that only the humans fully understood. Their documentation is comprehensive, but implementation requires a level of adaptive problem-solving that none of our species possess. The economic situation deteriorated even faster than predicted. The human banking algorithms, designed to handle complex multi-species transactions, began showing signs of strain. They continued to process standard trades but struggled with new economic patterns that emerged in the wake of humanity's departure. In the financial district of Nova Prima, chief economist Zarath of the United Banking Consortium faced a room full of panicked investors. The systems aren't failing, she explained, her energy form flickering with frustration. They're simply not evolving. The humans designed them to maintain stability, not to adapt to completely new economic paradigms. But beneath the surface chaos, something unexpected was beginning to emerge. In the wake of humanity's departure, some species started developing their own solutions to long-standing problems. The quantum minds of the Silicon Collective, freed from reliance on human mediators, began creating their own diplomatic protocols. The Organic Confederation, facing trade route challenges, started developing new navigation systems based on biological computing. On the frontier world of New Genesis, a coalition of species achieved what many had thought impossible. They successfully modified human atmospheric processors using their own technological approaches. The solution wasn't as elegant as the human original, but it worked. They're adapting faster than we anticipated, Ambassador Chen observed, reviewing the latest reports in her Earth office. The collapse of the old order is accelerating, but so is the emergence of new systems. Her aide, watching the holographic display of spreading conflict zones, looked concerned. The death toll is rising. The Helios sector battle alone caused more casualties than the last 50 years of human-mediated conflicts combined. Chen's expression remained calm but carried a weight of responsibility. We knew there would be a cost. The question was never whether there would be chaos. It was whether the galaxy could learn to function without us before that chaos became catastrophic. She stood, walking to the window that overlooked the sprawling Earth Defense Command complex. Hundreds of ships, recalled from their peacekeeping duties across the galaxy, sat in orbital docks. Their crews trained constantly, preparing for various scenarios that Chen hoped would never materialize. Initiate Phase 4, she ordered quietly. The galaxy is about to enter its most dangerous period. The moment when fear overwhelms reason, when panic drives decisions rather than logic. Her aide's fingers flew over the holographic controls, transmitting coded orders to human outposts scattered across the protected zones near Earth. What if they're not ready? What if this all goes wrong? Chen's response was firm but carried a note of uncertainty that few had ever heard from her. Then we'll face the consequences of our choice, but we cannot continue to be the galaxy's caretakers forever. Sometimes, the only way to teach someone to swim is to let them feel the water's depth. As if to emphasize her words, another alert flashed across the holographic display. The Helios sector conflict had spread to 3 neighboring systems, the Crystal Dynasties and Plasma Collective. Ancient rivals unleashed from human oversight were mobilizing their full military might. The galaxy was entering a new phase, one that would either lead to catastrophic collapse or force its inhabitants to evolve beyond their dependence on humanity. The question was, which would come first? The Phoenix Protocol. Deep within Earth's quantum archive complex, Director Marcus Zhang stood before a wall of holographic displays, each showing a different aspect of galactic chaos unfolding. 6 months had passed since humanity's withdrawal, and the situation had developed exactly as the Phoenix Protocol had predicted, though that offered little comfort as he watched civilization after civilization edge toward conflict. "Show me the Helios sector," he commanded. The central display shifted, revealing the expanding war zone between the Crystal Dynasties and the Plasma Collective. What had started as a border skirmish had evolved into a full-scale war, with both sides deploying weapons that had been banned under human peacekeeping protocols. "Sir," his assistant, Dr. Elena Rivera, called from her station, "we're detecting quantum signatures consistent with prototype reality-warping weapons in the Helios sector. The Crystal Dynasties are preparing to deploy something big." Zhang nodded grimly. "Right on schedule. Send the alert to Ambassador Chen. It's time for Phase 5. In her office at Earth's Diplomatic Center, Sarah Chen received the alert while meeting with her crisis team. The holographic projections surrounding them showed spreading patterns of conflict, economic instability, and technological regression across the galaxy. But underneath these patterns, barely visible to most observers, were the first signs of what humanity had been waiting for. "The Arcadian Collective has developed their own peacekeeping force," one analyst reported. "They're small, inexperienced, but they've successfully prevented 3 minor conflicts in their sector without any human assistance. The Silicon Organic Trade dispute has led to the creation of a new Joint Species Council," another added. "They're actually talking to each other directly instead of relying on human mediators." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "And the Phoenix Protocol's primary indicators." Her chief analyst, Dr. James Morrison, brought up a new set of data streams. Exactly as predicted, Level 1 dependency patterns are breaking down across all major sectors. We're seeing the first signs of true interspecies cooperation without human oversight. But, he hesitated. "But what, James? The cost has been enormous. The death toll from the Helios conflict alone has surpassed our worst-case projections. And if the Crystal Dynasties deploy those reality-warping weapons..." Chen's expression hardened. "Then we move to Phase 5 ahead of schedule." Humanity didn't withdraw just to watch the galaxy tear itself apart. We withdrew to force evolution. And sometimes evolution needs a catalyst. She opened a secure quantum channel to Earth Defense Command. "This is Ambassador Chen. Authorization Phoenix, Alpha 70. Implement Phase 5. Across Earth's orbital defense platforms, hundreds of ships that had been recalled from peacekeeping duties months ago began powering up. But these weren't the same vessels that had left their posts in the galaxy. During their time in Earth's docks, each ship had been upgraded with technologies that humanity had kept hidden for centuries. In his command center, John watched as the Phoenix Protocol's true purpose began to unfold. "Broadcast the message to all Confederation frequencies," he ordered. It's time they understood what we've really been doing. Throughout the galaxy, on every quantum communication channel, in every language, the message began to play. Ambassador Chen's holographic image appeared before every species governmental body, every military command, every trade council. "To all sentient species of the galaxy," she began, her voice carrying an authority that few had heard before. 6 months ago, humanity withdrew from galactic politics. Today, we reveal why. The Phoenix Protocol was never about abandonment. It was about evolution. The hologram shifted, showing detailed data streams that humanity had been collecting for centuries. Our species joined the Confederation believing we would find equals, partners in the great journey of civilization. Instead, we found a galaxy locked in stasis, dependent on human mediation for even the simplest interactions. We became your crutch, your easy solution to every problem. And in doing so, we prevented you from developing your own solutions, from growing beyond your ancient limitations. The Phoenix Protocol was designed to break this cycle. In the Helios sector, both the Crystal Dynasties and Plasma Collective froze as their sensors detected hundreds of human vessels emerging from quantum space around their fleets. These ships were unlike anything they'd seen before, displaying technology that defied their understanding. We withdrew not because we stopped caring. Chen's message continued, but because we cared too much to let this continue. The galaxy needed to remember how to solve its own problems, how to cooperate without human oversight, how to evolve. But we also promised not to abandon you. The Phoenix Protocol has a final phase, one that begins today. We offer not control, not dependence, but true partnership. We will share technologies we've kept hidden, knowledge we've held back, but only with those who have shown they can stand on their own. John watched as the data streams showed the first responses to humanity's revelation. Confusion, anger, hope, fear, all flowing through the quantum networks as species after species realized the true scope of what humanity had done. The Phoenix Protocol was named for the mythical bird that rises from its own ashes. Chen's message concluded, "Today, we offer the galaxy a chance to rise as well. Not as dependents, not as subordinates, but as true equals in the greatest journey any civilization can undertake, the journey toward genuine cooperation and growth." As her hologram faded, the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. In Earth's command center, Zhang and his team watched the spreading ripples of humanity's greatest gambit. They had just revealed that their withdrawal had been more than just a political decision. It had been the first step in forcing the galaxy to evolve beyond its limitations. The question now was, would the galaxy embrace this evolution or reject it? The answer would determine the future of all species, humanity included. A new dawn. The galaxy held its collective breath for precisely 23 seconds after Ambassador Chen's revelation about the Phoenix Protocol. Then, in the Helios sector, something unprecedented occurred. The Crystal Dynasty's flagship, moments away from deploying its reality-warping weapon, powered down its systems. Across the battlefield, the Plasma Collective's forces did the same. This was your plan all along. First Commander Lyrax of the Crystal Dynasties transmitted on an open channel, her crystalline form pulsing with a mix of anger and admiration. You didn't abandon us. You were teaching us. In Earth's command center, Director John watched as similar scenes played out across dozens of conflict zones. Species that had been at each other's throats just moments before found themselves united in their reaction to humanity's revelation. "Show me the Confederation Council," he ordered. The main display shifted to the emergency session taking place on Nova Prima, where representatives from every major civilization had gathered to respond to humanity's announcement. Arch-Speaker Zilvac stood at the central podium, his crystalline form glowing with an intensity not seen in centuries. "We have been blind," he announced to the assembled representatives. "For 3 centuries, we saw humanity as merely another member species, perhaps useful for their adaptability and diplomatic skills. We never understood what they truly were, teachers preparing us for something greater." Ambassador Chen's hologram appeared before the council, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood Director Zhang, Dr. Rivera, and other key architects of the Phoenix Protocol. "You understand now," she said simply. "That's the first step. Understanding is not forgiveness." The Silicon Collective's representative interjected, their quantum matrix pulsing with controlled anger. "Your lesson cost thousands of lives." "Yes," Chen acknowledged, her voice heavy with the weight of that truth. "We knew there would be a cost, but the alternative was eternal stagnation. a galaxy of species forever dependent on human intervention, never reaching their full potential. She gestured, and the chamber filled with holographic data streams showing the changes of the past 6 months. Look at what you've already achieved when forced to stand on your own. The Arcadian Peacekeeping Force. The Silicon Organic Cooperation Council. New technologies developed without human assistance. Solutions to problems that you never would have attempted to solve while relying on us. And now, asked a representative of the quantum minds, their energy form flickering with curiosity. What happens now that we know the truth? Zhang stepped forward. Now we offer what we should have offered 3 centuries ago. True partnership. The Phoenix Protocol wasn't just about forcing independence. It was about preparing the galaxy for what's coming. The chamber fell silent as Zhang revealed humanity's final secret. The holographic display shifted, showing something that made even the most composed representatives gasp. At the edges of known space, something was stirring. A threat that humanity had discovered centuries ago, one that no single species could face alone. This is why we needed you to evolve, Chen explained. Not just to break dependency, but to be ready. The galaxy needs equals now, not subordinates. Partners, not protectorates. The technologies we've kept hidden, the advancements we've held back, they're yours now, but only if you're ready to use them responsibly. Only if you've truly learned to stand on your own. Across the galaxy, the response began. The Crystal Dynasties and Plasma Collective, enemies moments before, found themselves discussing joint defense strategies. The Silicon Collective and Organic Confederation, their trade dispute forgotten, began sharing technological innovations that each had developed during humanity's absence. On frontier worlds, colony administrators who had struggled without human support discovered they had grown stronger through that struggle. Their solutions, while different from humanity's, were equally valid, sometimes even more effective for their specific situations. In Earth's diplomatic center, Chen watched the galaxy's transformation with cautious optimism. Phase 6 is initiating ahead of schedule, she noted to her team. They're adapting faster than we predicted. They had to, Zhang replied. The threat at the edge of space won't wait for a gentle awakening. Sometimes the only way to prepare for a storm is to weather a few gales first. Over the next weeks, humanity's role in the galaxy transformed. No longer peacekeepers or problem solvers, they became partners and advisors. The human ships that had revealed themselves during the Helios crisis remained, but now they worked alongside newly formed multi-species task forces rather than directing them. The Confederation itself underwent a metamorphosis. The old hierarchical structure, with humanity as the unofficial but essential mediator, gave way to a new organization, the Galactic Alliance. Each species brought its own strengths, its own solutions, its own perspectives to the challenges they faced. 1 year after humanity's initial withdrawal, Ambassador Chen stood once again before the newly formed Alliance Council. But this time, she wasn't there to make announcements or reveal secrets. She was there to participate as an equal partner in the galaxy's greatest challenge yet. The Phoenix Protocol is complete, she declared to the assembled representatives. Humanity withdrew so the galaxy could learn to stand on its own. Now we stand together, not as teachers and students, but as equals facing a common future. As if to emphasize her words, the quantum sensors at the edge of known space registered new activity. The threat that humanity had prepared for was stirring, but this time, the galaxy wasn't a collection of dependent species looking to humans for solutions. This time, they were ready to face it together, each bringing their own strength to the greatest challenge their civilization had ever faced. The Phoenix Protocol had achieved its true purpose, preparing the galaxy not just for independence, but for survival. And in the depths of space, as the first signs of the coming storm appeared on long-range sensors, humanity finally revealed the last piece of their centuries-long plan. They had never intended to be the galaxy's saviors. They had intended to be its wake-up call, preparing it for a threat that would require every species, working together as true equals to survive. The real test was about to begin.